GTM Podcast Buddhist Knowledge 38 Blessing of Life Blessing 13 Part 2. Hello everyone. You are listening to GTM Podcast Buddhist Knowledge Series on 38 Blessing of Life. Currently, we are reaching Blessing 13 and continue from it was left off from the last episode on introduction. We will continue on the second part, which is conclude on this introduction. Before we gonna continue, if you have not previously listened to the previous episode just yet, we suggest you go back and listen to them first for more understanding. One more thing before we start, please subscribe, like and share to our channel on Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube for more update news and help us continue the program and supporting us. If you are all set, let us continue. Blessing 13 Introduction. Sexual discrimination in Buddhism. In this day and age, many people are concerned about equal rights for men and women, but find that religions often harbor the word sexual discrimination. Before embarking upon the advice to marry couples that follows, it is necessary to qualify the advice by saying the temperament of men and women are not the same in the eyes of the Buddha. Masculinity and femininity are distinct qualities equivalent to the elements of earth, water, fire, and air that make up our bodies. One is not superior to the other, but harm can come about when one becomes enamored these features of one's own or another's gender. It is the attraction between the genders that cause harm, not the gender qualities themselves, because no sight, sound, scent, or touch can overcome the mind of a man like those of a woman, and no sight, sound, scent, or touch can overcome the mind of a woman like those of a man. Rupadi Sutta. And for as long as a man or a woman is under the control of the attraction they have for someone of the opposite gender, they will fail to make use of their noble virtues, such as wisdom and conscience. They will tend to forget that love has a noble side, which is motherly, brotherly, selfless, or universal in place of love, which is merely sensual, emotional, sexual, or downright selfish. That women are often shown in a bad light in the Buddhist scriptures does not reflect the quality of women per se, but us, because women are mostly referred to in the story used to threaten monks on the brink of disrobing, a relatively common reason for the Buddha to give a teaching. Elsewhere, the Buddha shows women in a good light and admits that women have an equal chance of becoming enlightened as men. Disadvantage of not cherishing one's spouse. With or without divorce, the consequences of marriage neglect are far-reaching. If a husband and wife does not cherish one another according to the advice of the Buddha, the harm that will come to them can be concluded on 3 levels. 1. Losing a sense of responsibility for their own human dignity. If a husband and wife lack self-discipline and don't fulfill the duties towards one another prescribed by the Lord Buddha, the first level of disaster which will happen to them is that they will lose their sense of responsibility for their own human dignity. These laws giving rise, at the minimum, to the following 3 undesirable symptoms. 1. Breaking the precepts. The husband and wife might be unfaithful to one another, leading to family problems, divorce, vengeful aggression, and violence. 2. Running out of inspiration to perform virtue. When someone feels disappointed in life, the last thing they want to do is to be a good husband or wife to their partner or a good parent to their children. 3. Displaying violence in front of their children. If a parent has no respect for themselves, they will feel no embarrassment about losing their temper or being aggressive in front of the children. Such aggression, even if it is only verbal, leaves an undesirable traumatic impression on the children's developing mind, quenching any possible warmth they might feel for that parent in the future. 2. Losing a sense of responsibility for human dignity of others. If a husband and wife lack self-discipline and don't fulfill the duties toward one another prescribed by the Lord Buddha, the second level of disaster which will happen to them is that they will lose their sense of responsibility for the human dignity of others. These laws giving rise, at the minimum, to the following 3 undesirable symptoms. 1. Pessimistic worldview. If a husband and wife habitually lose their temper with colleagues or friends outside the home, it will eventually retard career progress and promotion prospects. 2. Biased personality. The insecurity of family life will lead them to take refuge within a clique of sympathizers, thereby losing the ability to associate sincerely with the wider society. 3. Accumulation of anger and vengefulness. The husband or wife will start to accumulate negative emotions because they feel that everybody is against them. Eventually, they become preoccupied with looking for ways to get their own back on these enemies. 3. Losing a sense of responsibility for economic fairness in society at large. If a husband and wife lack self-discipline and don't fulfill the duties towards one another prescribed by the Lord Buddha, the third level of disaster which will happen to them is that they will lose their sense of responsibility for economic fairness in society at large. These laws giving rise, at the minimum, to the following 3 undesirable symptoms. 1. Recourse to road to ruin. If husband or wives lose their sense of responsibility for economic fairness, eventually, they will turn to road to ruin, such as alcohol for solace, in an attempt to blot out their suffering. 2. Economic hardship for the family. When the finances of the family are misdirected, the ones who suffer the most will be the children who experience neglect in their material and educational needs, exacerbating problems of juvenile delinquency. 3. Lack of harmony in earning livelihood. When the relationship between husband and wife is plagued by mistrust and suspicion, if the couple eventually has to break up, the certain victims will be the children in the family. The problems of the Western quarters can be summarized down to 2 main points. 1. Broken family. The manifest problems of broken families in our society exacerbates the already grave problems faced by young people as well as affecting a country's economic stability. 2. Misunderstanding of marriage. The covert social problem of misunderstanding of marriage stems from the fact that young people are getting married for the wrong reasons. Without any comprehension of how to lead a household, a majority of couples these days seem to be marrying merely to fulfill their sexual fantasies. However, once married, when the reality of the situation sinks in, they find themselves ill-equipped to make a success of the family life. It is ironic that sex education has become compulsory school subject at a time when society is plumbing the depth of marital problems and promiscuity. In the olden days, sex education was not taught, but somehow the man in the street seemed to make less of a mess of his marital life. Maybe what they should be teaching in the school instead of sex education is how to prepare yourself to be a good husband or wife, or how to prepare yourself to be a good parent. That's everyone. Getting interesting, isn't it? Of why we should cherish our spouse. How can we be a good one to our spouse? We will continue that in the next episode. Husbands and wives. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share to help us continue and support our program. Until then, next time.